give it a few seconds for people to trickle in here a bit more. Okay, let's get started. What if you could invest early in revolutionary health tech companies that are transforming how we monitor and optimize our personal health? You will learn today how Alumni Ventures identified Oura as a breakthrough investment opportunity at the intersection of sleep science, wearable technology, and preventative healthcare. Managing partner David Shapiro will reveal how AV leveraged its extensive network to secure investment in Oura's Series B. This is just before the company's explosive growth phase. Investing in digital health monitoring isn't just about financial returns. It's about participating in this is a real number, $288 billion market projected to reach $451 billion by 2030. And backing innovations that fundamentally improve people's lives through deeper health insights and personalized wellness. Now, let's hand this off to David to get us started.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's masterclass, Inside the Deal, why we said yes to Oura. So we'll walk through lots of detail on Oura, which is really the ring. I guess I could do show and tell right off the bat. I'm wearing it. I've been wearing it for, I don't know, probably 6 years or so, 7 years now, right, all the way through. So lots of sleep data. My name is David Shapiro, managing partner with Alumni Ventures, and I'm really glad to have you join us and walk through it all with you. So just as a reminder, this presentation is for information purposes only. It's not intended as an offer to sell securities in any way. The rest of the disclosure is here. And with that, let's jump in. So a little on me, and then we'll get right into Oura and the deal and all of the dynamics. I suppose, yeah, my journey through and into venture capital. I'll go a couple bullets down and work upwards. So I was undergrad from Yale 91 and talked for business school. I was in private equity and venture capital a long time ago with GE back in the 90s after Yale. I was there for about 7 or 8 years or so. In their private equity and venture group focused on late stage venture and growth opportunities. After business school, I co-founded a business in technology, but then ended up joining a firm called 3i, which is a global venture and private equity firm, and was there for a good 10 years or 11 years or so. Before joining an operating company in an operating capacity, really, with a company called DataZoo. That was all coming to Blue Ivy Ventures and Alumni Ventures, which is 2016. I've been here for the past 9 years or so, managing and running Blue Ivy Ventures. With that, let's jump into Oura in more detail. You can see the ring there, and what's cool in it is the stuff underneath, right? So I showed you the ring, but it's the sensors underneath that I find really cool and fascinating. That's where all the magic occurs. So we'll walk through a little about why we invested in the company, the market tailwinds and larger trends that we're seeing in digital health and wearables, both then and today, and it kind of played right into that strength. And then, a little bit on the product, where they are today and their strategy. Talk a little bit about, the monetization beyond hardware. How did they do that, right? It was important, critical part of their business and their model, actually. And then some key lessons that we've learned along the way, and we can share all of that as we go forward in the discussion. So let's go back a little bit. First, this is really a lot about sleep tracking and how it's moving to whole body health, right? Oura began as that sleep tracker, has now evolved, for those that know, and it's really a more full-scale health monitoring tool. Really was focused on sleep, which is a great place to start because we all do it every day, and that's gets into daily usage, right? So many people, me included, wake up and the first thing we do is check our data, right? Check how I slept and see how much REM sleep and deep sleep. But along the way, they've added a whole bunch of technology, including heart rate tracking, body temperature, the quality of sleep is all there, readiness, which is really, are you ready for the day? How much, when did your heart rate get to a good level the night before, so you know how much maybe you might want to focus on working out that next day, that kind of thing. Temperature can be an advanced illness tracker, almost a signal. They're now adding most recently glucose monitoring and meals. So again, a bunch of things they're able to do and track, which is fantastic. So it becomes more of a platform play. The ring itself got started from ex-Nokia founders and some tech folks out of Finland. And so the original heritage of the company is there, with this vision of really revolutionizing personal health, but really wearable tech is the backdrop. Okay, so how did we get to it, get to know it a little bit? This is a great book. I highly recommend it. It's by Matt Walker's own admission, sleep inducing. He doesn't mind. It's a compliment, but it's great. It was. I would encourage anybody who's curious about sleep. This was really a foundational book around why we sleep. So I read this back in 2018. And what I took away was like sleep. It's a key pillar of health. And now it sounds almost trite and common, but in 2018, everybody, I think the notion was I'll sleep when I'm dead. And, reading Matt's book helped me really, kind of see it in a whole different light. Actually, that led me to buy an Oura ring, really. I looked at different trackers or ways of getting more intelligent on sleep. And so I got a ring. And, it was great. It made sense to me. And then I actually connected with Matt Walker through one of our Blue Ivy and AV investment committee members. I wanted to get to know him in the sleep space a little more. In fact, truthfully, a shout out and nod to our CEO, Mike Collins, and I were trading notes. I shared the book with him. He's an avid reader. And I said, Mike, you should read this. You'll love it. He kind of wrote me back like, you should talk to Matt. And I thought, why would I want to reach out to a PhD? But in the dialogue, he just said sleep's an underinvested space. And I just thought like the light bulb went off for me when I realized that and heard it. And I thought, absolutely, right? And there's got to be opportunities. And so I, in fact, did get to know Matt through the power of connections, I guess, is partly the story. Matt kind of pointed me towards a different company in the space that was raising capital, and it was really around a totally different wearable. But the net of it was I started thinking more about how could we invest in this space and make it more real? I was staring at the data every day, and then it became logical for me to sort of find my way to Oura. Turns out, back in that day, Oura's chairman was an early angel investor, was a Yale alum. That got me a little more interested as well. I ultimately went a little bit around the world to get to know Oura. Back to the Finnish heritage of the business, I had an old Finnish colleague from my 3i days, and we and I are still in touch, and I reached out to him. I just had this feeling. I bet you he knows somebody that knows somebody, and sure enough, I remember writing him at like 11:30 at night, and by the next morning, he had written one of his founders, who had written one of their another colleague who was one of the founders of Oura, who then connected me to the CEO, who actually was in San Francisco and is U.S. based, but kind of around the world to get to know it. Additionally, the CEO of one of our portfolio companies, Roan, knew Oura and knew the CEO, and so we kind of triangulated. And the net is I got a chance to really pitch and get to know Oura more directly as a round was coming together. It was the Series B round, which you'll see was end of 2018 into early 2019. And with the network that we have, the consumer-facing ways we could help promote and support brands in particular, the CEO, Harpreet, and I had a good rapport, and he got the logic and made room for us really in the round so we could really support Oura going forward. So that's a little bit of how we got to know the company with this kind of roundabout approach. But it was the network really that opened up the door for us to make the investment back in 2019. So the investment opportunity, we highlighted it already a little bit, but wearable health tech, right? It was, I guess I'd say, at an inflection point, and it's just continued. The charts show it. The demand and the size of the market is large, and getting larger is kind of the key. Particularly, there's just called health insights. I think real-time health insights, everything from I'm going to come back to this, but continuous glucose monitoring is also on the rise, right? Steps and trackers. Fitbit was acquired by Google around the early parts of this time, I think, if I remember. Maybe validating the place within big tech, for companies and data like this. And of course, there were new revenue models emerging around subscription-based health insights. So really good time to sort of jump in, I suppose, and that's played out well. So those also became tailwinds, I guess I'd say, right? The growing awareness of Matt Walker's book was a huge catalyst for everybody to be more aware of sleep and be more, bring it into our frontal lobe and be just more thoughtful about it, and then maybe want to track it, right? So his book, podcasts, of course, took off. This is Andrew Huberman and Peter Attia, for those that know, are talking almost weekly on the importance of sleep and how to play to get better sleep, etc. And one of the best ways is, of course, to track it, whether that's an Apple Watch or maybe a Whoop or an Oura Ring. They fit right into that so nicely. So obviously, there's preponderance of folks that aren't getting enough sleep. So that's always helpful. The more we're aware of those dynamics, the more we want to address it. So the global sleep market really started growing and is projected to hit 80 billion or so a few years ago. All really tailwinds. Some of the competitive advantages of Oura, what set it apart? Well, there's some things, but we listed a few on the left. I'll highlight a couple more, but really unbelievably great user engagement, right? I mentioned it at the outset, but not everybody stays with a ring, of course. But for those that do, it's years. 75% of users check the app, right? You see within an hour of waking. I do it within 5-8 minutes, right? So first thing I do, my wife does. Everybody knows the joke a little bit now, like, how'd you sleep? I don't know. Let me check my data, right? We don't even answer it until we check the data and confirm how we feel. It's amazing how much presence Oura has, around that stuff. Word of mouth was strong. I can't tell you the number of people around here that have Oura rings, largely from that word of mouth. And one of the best parts was the syndicate that came together was really perfect and right on point with our model. Included Google. Gradient Ventures is a venture firm kind of set up within Google. Mark Benioff was an investor, as well as Square. The big lead was Forerunner Ventures, and some of you may not know it, but they're really expert in consumer. It's almost all they do is consumer-facing models, and they have tons of great successes. So with them kind of guiding at the board level how a consumer company goes and grows, really checked a great box for us as this round kind of came together. There are some technical things that are better. I'll digress and share. Some people think, well, can you do it with an Apple Watch? I have an Apple Watch. I never check it, but I suppose I could. The important thing to note is Oura is more accurate, and there's some benefits. The wrist is hard to really identify REM sleep and deep sleep. It's not as accurate, in short, because you got to get through some bone and figure out the sensors, and it's not as accurate. Oura, I will hold my hand, is sitting, there's arteries that run right along our fingers here. So really nice that it sits right here. You never notice it. I don't notice it all when I sleep, but it's sitting right on top of an artery, basically. And so the sensors that it has in it can be, well, therefore a lot more accurate around the cycles of sleep, right? That's where it starts. But also heart rate variability, temperature, all the other things it can gather are, again, more accurate, largely being the sleep component. So I'd put it in the competitive advantage, I think I'd say. Okay, some of the risks. Wearables, right? There's competition. I just mentioned there's an Apple Watch. Whoop, if those that know it, is another wrist-based device that tracks a lot of health information, largely for, again, performance. Well, if you're lifting weights and you want to know a lot more of those kind of metrics, it does do sleep, but again, wrist issues. So I see those as a little more comparisons because you only have 2 wrists out there, but rings don't really compete with Apple Watches, as you can see right on me. Fitbit is more of a step tracker than it is really a true sleep component. But anyway, these were certainly big players out there, and as a largely hardware play initially, we very much had to bear that in mind. So let's fast forward a little, and how has it done, and where have they gone? And I think one of the key elements, it was always part of their plan, was to not be hardware only, right? Figure out, Harpreet, I remember he and I were talking about this way back about how to kind of crack into becoming software part of the model too. And they did it really, really well, I guess I'd say, right? They added a subscription, but it's low enough where it's not overly burdensome. As I was grandfathered in early. I think it's $6 a month or something like that. So for use every day of the data, we don't even, people who use this don't even think about that, right? It's just such a small, but it's grown to be a meaningful part and of overall Oura revenue. But also because it's subscription based and software, it of course helps retention, but it's very predictable, right? And high margin, right? So there's a lot of things that occur with software. And so that combination of hardware and software, really, they executed great to pull that off. They've then added other things. It's not just sleep tracker. As you can see, stress is really, I forgot to mention stress. I check every day. There's a resilience score. There's stress levels that it provides insight on. This largely has to do with where your HRV, heart rate variability, is throughout the day. But recovery, women's health has specific things to help track women's health, which is great. all, again, beyond sleep tracking. And I will share, I just got news from Oura as a consumer. They're adding 2 bits, including glucose monitoring, so that's now live and here, and meals, right? So we all use not we all, many people have different apps for different things like meal tracking, and I just think it's great that, Oura is my place, it's my hub for all of these things, for sleep, for readiness, for my activity. It tracks my steps, of course, and I can add in my activities, stress levels, heart rate throughout the day, etc. And now I can just add meals and even glucose monitoring, which is great. So that's a nice extension. And just to share with you, they did a recent round led by Dexcom, which is one of the leading continuous glucose monitoring companies out there. So for me, that was a foreshadow of what is to come. And actually, it just came this week. They've announced their own glucose monitor that I don't know for sure who makes it. It's likely Dexcom. But the point being, they're adding that as a whole new dimension for what they can provide. Push the valuation up quite nicely, as you can see as well. So it's been a real great success, and the company's executed extremely well. So some lessons around this as we reflect. First of all, what Oura underscored for us, the syndicate, I kind of highlighted it, but I want to make sure it's important here to bring back. Great companies attract great investors. We saw that as the case here, and that's a big part of our model as a co-investor. We are looking to see who's leading the company, right? Who's on the board? Who's helping to drive the bus, right? And how does that play out? Because we're a co-investor. We're not in the room, so to speak, on some of the key strategic decisions and board activities. So we need to have a high level of trust with Forerunner and Gradient, along with a bunch of other players, particularly as the company grew, supporting the business with great strategy help and really checked a lot of boxes here. You can see here on the right, just to share with you a little more, this is sort of a snapshot of the firms that we often will invest in. We're looking for deals alongside Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, Kleiner Perkins, Bessemer, Khosla. You may not be able to read it, but way underneath, I have to lean in myself. We have 22 deals with Bessemer and 24 with Sequoia and 46 with Andreessen across the Alumni Ventures portfolio. So we really are able to situate the fund right alongside the best venture firms in the business, and that was the case here with Oura as well. Hardware is hard. I think that is true. Scalability and margin are always things that you've got to focus on and worry about, I suppose. We liked the plan and the vision, and then the execution of Oura, adding in that subscriptions component and really pulling off the software component of their model, providing that recurring revenue, which was done expertly by the company. So that's a snapshot of Oura, a quick walkthrough. First of all, I guess I should plug the product. I love it. I wear it every day. I have, as I mentioned, 18, whatever, almost 7 years now. Go get one. They're great. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now, this is the kind of company we also we invest in through a health tech fund. So in addition to some of our alumni funds, and some of you may know, we also have focused funds, of which one is a health tech fund. One of the trends that the health tech fund is focused on, and I co-head the fund, is around this intersection of wearables, biometrics, and AI, right? I would say diagnostic tools. I put this all loosely under the umbrella of Medicine 3.0, which just to describe it a bit, is being much more proactive with our care, being more personalized, and again, most importantly, proactive. Medicine 2.0 being like kind of how we are today with our healthcare system, and it's quite good at treating, right? When you're sick or you have something wrong, the ER. You go to the ER, they're really good. Obviously, we've learned so much about how to treat cancer, but can we prevent it, right? How do we get more proactive about that? And data is a critical component, of which a major piece is sleep, as well as all of the metrics you can get from something like an Oura Ring. So, and we're really focused on broadly data, biometrics, wearables, I suppose too, to help with our proactive care, I suppose I'd say. So if you're interested at all in companies like Oura and being a backer in companies like Oura and a part of their future and their journey, we do have the Health Tech Fund, and reach out. Let me know if you have a question on it or are curious or interested. this QR code there, but you can, of course, reach us anytime on our website, and we can share more about the Healthtech Fund as part of our overall platform. The high level is we'd like to be your venture partner. We want you to think of Alumni Ventures as the place to go and really your partner in a venture journey. Venture is an incredibly important asset class. It should be part of probably everybody's portfolio, whether it's a small amount or more. And it's been such a difficult asset class to access for individuals. And that's where we really step in and play a role. We can make it more accessible for individuals rather than just the big institutional investors out there. And that's what we provide both with alumni funds, focus funds like the Healthtech Fund as well. And just to zoom out, here's a little more on Alumni Ventures ourselves. We've been around since 2014. I joined a little bit there a couple years later to help get Blue Ivy Ventures going off the ground in that 2016 timeframe as the third alumni fund family. Since those early days, we've raised $1.4 billion from close to 11,000 investors out there. And we have a portfolio of about 1,500 portfolio companies. We've grown and been consistent the past few years to be one of the most active venture firms actually, in the country over the past couple of years. So that level of deal flow is critical. And again, co-investing alongside the best investors, giving you all, individuals, a chance to have that same level of access. Access companies like Oura that are effectively off limits for most individuals until they're public or way down the way up the value curve, really, where you can't get venture returns. We have about 120 employees, as you can see. We have offices in Manchester, our headquarters, back office, but we also have offices in New York, Boston, Chicago, Menlo Park as well. With that, I think I'll wrap, but I'm really glad we were able to share more information on Oura. Any questions you have on the company or more broadly healthcare, and even more broadly into that venture, feel free to reach out, and we look forward to engaging with you further. Thanks, everybody, for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, David. From sleep to stress to recovery, wearables like Oura are giving people more control over their well-being and investors the chance to fuel the future of personal health. Thank you so much for being with us today. If you're interested in learning more about our health tech investments or want to see how you can get involved, scan the QR code or visit av.vc to connect with our team. Let's see you next time.